Well, good afternoon and welcome to a new edition of Win TV. I'm your host, Denise Rolark Barnes, and I'm so glad to see you all this afternoon. We here at the Washington Informer like to bring you news that matters. Again, I'm your host, Denise Rolark Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer, and thanking you for tuning in. If you're on Facebook, do me a favor and go to the screen and hit share. We certainly would like to invite your friends to join us here on Win TV. And if you're on YouTube, we certainly would like for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Today, we'll hear my conversation with Dr. Cameron Webb, the White House Senior Policy Advisor for COVID. We talked about the president's goal to have 70% of all Americans vaccinated at least with one shot by July 4, and some other things related to the COVID vaccine. So we're so honored to have had Dr. Webb with us. And so we're going to show you that conversation we had with him earlier this week. Also joining us is Willie Phillips, Chair of the Public Service Commission of the District of Columbia, who's joining us to discuss contract opportunities for DC certified business enterprises. If you're a small business owner, if you're certified by the district, or if you know someone who is a business owner that's certified by the district, join the call or join our show, because Mr. Willie Phillips has some news for you that I think will provide some excellent opportunities to begin to make money now that this pandemic, it looks like it's on its way out. We also have Melissa Knight, Associate Director of Experiential Learning at Howard University, and she'll be joined by Shakura Adamo Fanayan, who is Executive Director of Reading Partners DC. We're going to talk to us about a partnership created to expand access to literacy tutors for kindergarten through fourth grade students across the district. I think all of our kids could use some extra tutoring, and Reading Partners are available. So we're going to learn what kind of services they can assist in making sure that our kids' reading scores have not been lost, but that they will increase or improve. Also, we're going to have Dwayne Cheers of Prince George's County, who's a successful founder of Everything Legendary. And it seems as though the good news just keeps coming from them. So he'll be joined by Prince George's County editor Will Ford to talk about the good news of Everything Legendary. And Kelly Galloway, founder of Ramp Global Missions, is joining us as she continues along her 902-mile Free Them Walk to end human trafficking. Looking forward to talking to her, as well as Dr. Yolandra Hancock, a volunteer advocate with the American Heart Association, who's going to talk to us about the district's controversial Nutrition Equity Amendment Act that's now in front of the DC City Council. And finally, Dr. V will be here to update us on the CDC's new rules on COVID-19, as well as vaccine for children, and the new updates as it relates to masks. So it's also Stroke Awareness Month, so it's important, and I think she'll be able to give us some tips or some things to be aware of as we may consider, if we're having a stroke, what the signs are and what we ought to do about it, like right away. So at the end of the show, we always want you to hang with us for Bridge TV's What's Going On with the Media Prints, and that's always followed by Sounds of the DMV. So we hope you've picked up a copy of your Washington Informer and that you've had a chance to read it. But if not, you can read the digital edition at WashingtonInformer.com. And while you're there, please sign up to become a subscriber. Inside, as Chevy just showed you, we not only have the paper, but we also do our quarterly health, wellness, and nutrition supplement. And this one addresses the whole issue of sugar. And so if you got that sugar, well, the supplement's going to talk about it, and so will Dr. V. So let's get to the hot topics. Felicia Rashad, we all know Felicia Rashad, from the Bill Cosby Show and so many other wonderful films and TV shows that she has been featured in, was named Dean of Fine Arts at Howard University, Dean of the School of Fine Arts at Howard University. So I know that's a big deal for Howard. It's a big deal for the students there, and she will be a welcome addition. And we can only expect that students out of her class will launch more great careers of performers coming out of the university. Howard has actually had some great folks that we are so excited about. Not only our vice president of the United States, but so many actors who have actually been nominated for awards and have actually contributed so much to the television and film industry. And so she will certainly, I think, play a special part in making sure that Howard University just keeps on producing. So we're continuing our coverage of vaccinations now available for children 12 and under. I know you've heard the CDC has lifted the indoor and outdoor mask guidelines for fully vaccinated people. And if you're vaccinated, according to the CDC, you no longer need to wear masks indoors and outdoors, and you can stop social distancing. Now, this is coming from Denise. My advice, my personal advice, is do what makes you feel safe and comfortable. I've heard people say, they may say, take the mask off. I'm not ready to take my mask off. Now, personally, I'm ready to take my mask off. But, do what makes you feel safe and comfortable. And of course, Dr. V will talk about that when we get into that segment of the program regarding, the real guidelines about when we should and should not wear our masks. So we'll talk to her more about that. Randy Weingarten, president of the nation's second largest teachers union, the American Federation of Teachers, has called for the full reopening of K-12 schools across the nation this fall. Well, the Washington Informer will keep you abreast of the school reopening plans here in the DMV. I know that our writer, Sam Collins, has talked a lot about what's happening with summer school. We know that the nutrition program, I think, will continue. But, what happens in the fall, we will keep you abreast of that. And because it's important, I know as a parent, we all need to plan for what our children's needs will be when school rolls around in August. So that's just some of the news we've been following. But please be sure to check out WashingtonInformer.com, where there's so much more. Not only you'll get a copy of this week's edition of the Informer, but so much more that we are offering at WashingtonInformer.com. So coming up now, of course, is our very own Curtis Knowles, who's going to share with you some of the news that's happened in the DMV, some of the hot topics, and we'll return with our conversation with Kelly Galloway on the Freedom Walk in Maryland. Don't go away.
This is Curtis Knowles reporting with WIN TV News. FedEx Field will be opening its doors to full capacity for the 2021 sports season. The Washington football team will waive all single-game ticket fees for the first 24 hours starting at 8 p.m. Wednesday when the 2021 schedule is released. Jason Wright, the president of the Washington football team, said safety and public health measures will continue to be implemented at the stadium. The Morehouse College speech and debate team has withdrawn from the 2021 United States University Debate Championship. The withdrawal came in mid-April and was due to numerous instances of racial-based mockery and bias from other teams. Morehouse was joined by its sister school Spelman and other colleges in solidarity, claiming that racism is still alive and well in the college debate arena. Baltimore resident and CEO Mike Rosenbaum is throwing his hat in the ring for the 2022 Maryland governor election. Rosenbaum has founded two software companies, Catalyte and Arena, which both help in processing and creating jobs. Rosenbaum will be running on the Democratic ticket. Surging gas prices is a growing concern amongst Americans in the midst of the pandemic. After a recent cyber attack on the Colonial Pipeline, the national price for gas has jumped by 6%. The pipeline transports 100 million gallons a day, with 45% of it consumed on the East Coast. This has caused motorists to swarm gas stations in an attempt to fuel up while prices are still manageable. This is Curtis Knowles with WIN TV News.
Slavery still exists. We're here to light up the path to freedom. This year, we are walking 902 miles on the Underground Railroad to raise awareness about one of the most hidden crimes on the planet, slavery, or as many would call it, human trafficking.
Wow, Kelly, that's really powerful. That is powerful. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, I mean, 902 miles. How did you embark on this mission?
Well, that's a great question, Denise. Thank you for asking. In June of 2019, I was frustrated on Juneteenth when I scrolled through Instagram and I found that other anti-trafficking organizations, largely run by Caucasians, had not even acknowledged Juneteenth, which is a day of freedom for the largest legal human trafficking ring to ever operate in this country. And at first, I initially said, you know what, I'm going to be angry. I'm going to write a new open letter and let it go viral. And then I said, well, maybe they just don't know about it. And I took that as a burden and an assignment, and that a lot of people don't know about human trafficking. They don't know they exist. They don't know that it doesn't just happen overseas, but it happens in our communities. And so I decided to ask a couple friends of mine, hey, would you mind walking the Underground Railroad with me? And that's how it started. It really started out of a frustrated place of people not understanding the significance of the Juneteenth, especially those who are in the fight against modern day slavery.
So, I mean, Juneteenth now is, become a major holiday in some cities across the country. And so people are becoming more and more familiar with that, but they're not familiar with how human trafficking is impacting the Black community. What have you discovered about that during your time of planning this walk or this mission, and what is the impact?
Well, the first thing we have to acknowledge is that our ancestors, if you are a descendant of those who were enslaved, then you are also a descendant of human trafficking victims. They were bought and sold for labor, bought and sold for sex, bought and sold for medical experimentation, bought and sold for entertainment, along with a plethora of other reasons that people decided to look at their bodies as commodities. A large or vast majority, rather, of African Americans in the United States of America today fall into what we would call a vulnerable population. It's not all of us, because not everybody is struggling, but people who are in foster care or runaways. And we know there's a large percentage of Black and brown kids who are in the foster care system. Then you have individuals who are addicted to substances, people who grow up below poverty, and because of disparities within education and a plethora of other things, redlining, and some other systemic issues that affect and plague Black and brown communities, it puts our children more in a more vulnerable space. And then our judicial system sees a lot of Black and brown kids who are victims of human trafficking as criminals. And so then they experience what we call double victimization, meaning they've been victimized by a trafficker, but then victimized by a system that says they want to protect them. And that's where you get the Centoya Browns, who was, recently released from being incarcerated when a 43-year-old white mortgage broker paid $150 to have sex with her 15-year-old body. That's where you get the Delicia Carmichaels, the Crystal Kaisers, the Patrice Smiths, and the Zephaniah Trevinos. And so human trafficking in the United States does affect minority populations at a larger rate.
That's amazing, because you've mentioned a lot of names that we don't know and
Yep.
we haven't heard of. And so this 900-mile walk, where did you start
Yeah.
from?
Well, we started in a city where it's called Lynchburg, Virginia. We left from my church, which is the Ramp Church International. And that's where I'm headquartered. But Lynchburg is right outside of Appomattox, Virginia, where General E. Lee, retreated. And that is where the Civil War ended. And so at the Emancipation Proclamation, that's when slavery was supposed to be over. So we started down there. We worked ourselves up through the capital, Richmond, Virginia. And then now we're in Washington, D.C. And so our walkers are right now, if you see this shirt, you know that they're a Freedom Walker. And by Sunday, we'll be in Philadelphia.
So I want to make it clear to those who are listening that we're not saying freedom, we're saying free them walkers.
Free them walk.
Yeah, free them walk. And so what are you all doing? What initiatives are you doing here while you're in the nation's capital?
Well, right now we're addressing issues. So we have a list of what we call like demands for legislators in every single city that we walk in. And so we've been distributing those call to actions. And basically, you still have about 27 states left in the United States of America that still charge children with prostitution. How can a child consent to a sex with an adult, and how could they be charged? They're rape victims, and so we have to stop using terminology, especially in media and press, child prostitute or underage woman. An underage woman is a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're pressing on for issues like that. Also, we're putting we just submitted letters to textbook companies because asking them to decolonize textbooks. And the reason why is because some of our walkers are from like that Richmond, Virginia area, and they went to high schools called Jefferson Davis High School. And I mean, Jefferson Davis was the president of the Confederate Army that wanted to expand slavery into the Midwest so that the Midwest could make more money in agriculture because they have free labor. And so I think that we're not taught these things, so we don't even know as Black and brown people to advocate for ourselves. And so he was an enslaver and oppressor. And so it's our goal when we go to different cities is to let the community know, like these are ways that you can fuel human trafficking, whether it's through pornography, whether it's participating in the sex trade, or not even knowing your consumer blueprint, like are the clothes you made in from a sweatshop in China or something like that that's enslaving children, or Thailand, the shrimp you eat, is it from Thailand, where plants that have been accused of child labor. So yeah, we have a list of demands, and we just encourage people to visit our website to learn a little bit more about how they can participate. It's definitely follow us on social media.
And so we posted it, but we're going to do it again. Post your website. Have there been any wins yet? And I don't know how you would characterize a win, but are folks listening? And then also, how many people are part of the Freedom Walk?
Well, we have 14 Freedom Walkers, and most of these individuals are moms, dads, spouses. About 98% of us are all business owners, and so like they're walking away from a lot of things for 40 plus days to do this walk. I think that every single day, Miss Denise, is a win, because I mean, we're walking 30 miles and we're able to do it, and physically and mentally and emotionally, even though it's a large undertaking. Every single step that we take is a win. And people that have never even acknowledged that trafficking happened, they're in our inbox like, man, well, what can I do to help? I'm just learning about this. So we took everyday people, like it took to operate the Underground Railroad that freedom seekers used to use, and we're creating new pathways to freedom. And the first thing we're doing is spreading awareness, like, hey, slavery still exists and it's happening right here in our own backyard. So I would say that every day is a win.
And you say you're going to end in Philadelphia?
No. Our next stop is Philadelphia. We're ending in my hometown, the place that I was born and raised, which is Buffalo, New York. And we're going to end on Juneteenth. And the reason why is because Juneteenth is a big deal in Buffalo. We have the second largest celebration in the entire nation. And so we have Harriet Tubman's family that's on board, Frederick Douglass's family that's coming and celebrate. We have Centoya Brown that'll be marching the last leg of the walk with us, along with people from all around the nation that are going to meet us in Buffalo on Juneteenth to do like the last 1 mile with the walkers from our city hall to the African American Heritage Corridor, which houses the Michigan Street Baptist Church, where freedom seekers used to hide in the basement of that church, like in the little cubby hole, because slave catchers would try to come after the 1850 Fugitive Slave Act was passed. So it's going to be a huge celebration. So like I said, we have people from all over the world coming. And so, I mean, I even invite you to come.
I just might. Right. Now that things are opening up, it sounds like quite a historic event. Yeah. And I really want to thank you for joining us and for sharing this information with us. Thank you. Here in the District of Columbia, we I don't know if we celebrate, but we acknowledge that we were the first freed here in the district. But that was an experiment that Lincoln had with the Congress in 2 years, prior to the Emancipation Proclamation, and it didn't work. It didn't work. It was a monetary issue, as you said, and it just didn't work. So we have DC, we have the first freed, and of course, um, the celebration that you all are acknowledging. Last question though, you mentioned to me a little bit earlier that your walk is being documented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is that something you can share with us?
No, I don't want to share it at this time, but it is a film that we're making, and it'll be out by the end of this year.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, we'll keep our ears and eyes open for that. I want to wish you all much success. Like you said, every day is a win. And so I can wish you anything, it's just great weather and safety.
Thank you. We need that. Thank you so much.
All right. We'll keep in touch and we'll follow you on the website.
Yes, ma'am. Bye-bye.
All righty. Have a great one. Amazing. There's so much. If there's anything I think there's a win, is that every day people are engaged in events that help us to understand and appreciate who we are, our history, our culture, our way that we've overcome. And so it's just a real pleasure to have had Kelly with us, and the 19 or so of them that are out there on this Free Them Walk. They're here in Washington, D.C., and they're continuing to go forward. We're going to now move on to Willie Phillips, who was chair of the Public Service Commission here in the District of Columbia. Mr. Phillips, thank you and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, there's nothing better than knowing that there are opportunities. I think we have what the CBE, Certified Business Enterprise, really is sort of an offshoot of what Kelly talked about. There's this imbalance, that's happened with minority-owned businesses, or even, I know this isn't a race program, but still businesses that are certified in the district that give them that extra opportunity to get local government contracts. So what do you have for us today?
Yeah, well, I want to just talk about, first of all, thank you again. I want to talk about the CBE initiative that we have at the Public Service Commission. We are hosting a 3-part webinar series, May 19th, May 26th, and June 2nd. And you can register and sign up. You have to register in advance, but it's free to the public. And we're really helping people understand how they can become a CBE, and then how they can contract with the government, the DC government, and in particular, the DC Public Service Commission, because we have large, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in contracts for professional services. And that's what I'm focused on. We have a goal to make sure that we provide 35% of our budget go to CBEs, but we want that to go to engineers, lawyers, communications professionals, in addition to everything else that we do that's not a professional service. So this is a great opportunity for any small or underserved business owner in the District of Columbia.
And full disclosure, sometimes I have to do that. The Washington Informer also is a CBE, and we have I can attest to the fact that applying to become a CBE has become easier in recent years. But one of the things that I'm excited about, particularly in this I'm claiming it post-pandemic period, is that there are, you all seem to be reaching out. Public Service Commission, some of your members are reaching out because there's a real cry for opportunities for local small businesses. And why is it so important now to do this?
We recognize that so many of our constituents and a lot of our businesses in the district were hit really hard by the pandemic. And so this is, I believe, one of the ways that we can give back. We often have our RFPs that go unanswered by CBEs.
Any requests for proposals, right?
That's right. Thank you. And companies can bid for those services. And any contract that we have that's over $100,000, we're required to try to get a CBE component to that contract. But oftentimes we can't find it. And so what we want to do is break that cycle. We're reaching out to CBEs and non-CBEs. If you're certified, we want to work with you. If you're not certified, we want to help you get certified.
That's great.
We can pair you with someone who is a primary contractor so that you can learn what you need to do to work with us.
Well, we didn't have a lot of time for this, but I think it's great news, and I'm glad that you were here. We have placed on the screen where people can go in case it just went away. Thank you, thank you, Chevry. It's back again where you can go to learn more about the webinar series. And when the time is right, let us know if there's some CBEs that were successful, that went through those steps, and that actually did get a government contract with your help, or the your office's help, because we'd like to highlight those. We got to let people know that it's not just a program, but it really works. So share that with us.
Absolutely, love to come back. Thank you for your time. All
right, thank you. So we're a CBE, and I've heard from now Mr. Phillips and others in the District of Columbia who really are looking out for CBEs, and it really does make me ask sometimes, why is it that we're not allowing ourselves to be found? Because they're looking for us. So if you're a CBE, hopefully you'll sign up, you'll call, you'll get involved in the webinar, and you will be actually out there aggressively looking for contracts, because these contractors are looking for you. So we thank you so much for being with us. So now we're going to talk a little bit about what we're going to do to prepare our children who actually need some help and can get it thanks to the Reading Partners of DC. I want to welcome Melissa Knight and Shakura Adamo Fanayan, who, did I say it right? Great. Okay, from Howard University and the Reading Partners DC. So thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell a little personal story, but my son, who I think Shakura, was over at the house the other day, and I mean, it's just amazing, these conversations I was having with him. But then I realized he's a reader. Can talk about anything in the world because he's a reader and has always been a reader. And so I'm wondering, tell me a little bit about Reading Partners and what you all do and how you instill the joy, hopefully, of reading in our children. Someone can jump in.
Wonderful. So the mission of Reading Partners is to help children become lifelong readers by empowering communities to provide individualized instruction and get measurable results. We are a one-to-one literacy tutoring program. And what we do is we take our community volunteers who are giving us the gift of time, we train them in our evidence-based curriculum, and we partner them with a young person who needs a little bit of extra help for reading. Most of the students that we work with in grades kindergarten through 4th grade are about 6 months to 2 years behind.
Wow.
And so they work with us for about 2 hours per week, and they work with their tutors for about 45 minutes per session. And really, the tutors give us 2 hours of their time per week in service to these young people.
And Melissa, tell us, how are you all involved?
Yeah, so here at Howard University, we have our federal work study program, and our federal work study program is essentially an opportunity to help our students to get part-time employment. They'll have the opportunity to use those funds to work in a part-time role. So this is a fantastic opportunity to partner with Reading Partners, as we are on an initiative to get our students in community service roles. So they'll be able to work with Reading Partners and also receive funding to fund their education. So it was right in line with what our Howard Forward plan is, which is one of our pillars, is serving the community. And with Reading Partners, it will allow us the opportunity to have a strategic partnership to allow students to be a part of the educational outcome. So we're really, really excited about that.
I mean, when I ask about wins, this is like a triple win here, or even more than that, because, when you have kids that really do understand the power of books and words, then it just makes the whole community better. So everybody gets something out of this. And then having Howard students, I know you're not I know your partners, Shakur, are probably range, and I would think over the years you probably had older people, maybe retired folks. Who've been some of your volunteers?
Yep. So we have been really, really lucky to engage a range of volunteers across the DC metro area. But a large percentage of our volunteers are older. They are retired. And one effort and why we are so excited about the partnership with Howard is that we've wanted to diversify our tutoring base. Our volunteers have been incredible and they make incredible relationships with our young people. But we just thought, how powerful would it be to have a volunteer who's working with you, who shares identity, perhaps even background in terms of socioeconomic conditions, to be able to partner with you and help you strengthen your reading and cheer you on. And so this is really a part of a larger initiative to just get more folks engaged and involved, especially those who share identity with our students.
You may have said it earlier, but about how many children are you serving, and how many would you like to serve if you had all the Howard students and everybody else involved?
What a wonderful, wonderful question. I'll answer that in 3 ways. This year, we are actually serving about 650 young people. We're working to serve that many young people. Next year, we have a very big goal of serving anywhere from 950 to 1,000 kids next year, because the need is so great. I know my team is like, "Oh my gosh, Shakur, you're saying it out loud." Yes, I am saying it. This is what we want to do. And so, and over the last 10 years, we've served about 5,000 kids in the city. So again, our hope is that we can continue to do the work that we're doing, get the results that we've been getting, and now in partnership with the students at Howard University. And we have now joined their legacy of volunteerism in the community. And we're excited.
I am so proud and excited about, with both of you, because, and I'm just curious personally, why are you personally involved in this? What is it that's driving each of you to say this is important enough for me to spend my time to work with kids? And Melissa, I'll start with you.
Yeah, for me personally, I love when students are able to work in fields that they're passionate about. We've had a lot of students in the Federal Work Study Program mention that they want to have an opportunity to mentor students, to give back. So this will essentially give students an opportunity to get things on their resume that will be transferable into the workplace. So if we have students who want to be a teacher, you want to work in education, starting with reading partners is going to allow you to get those skill sets that will allow you to be successful in your career. We don't want a federal work study student. We want this to be a rich experience where they're really getting skills and tools that would develop them for the workplace. So for me, that's a big passion. I love when students are able to give back. And more importantly, we're giving back to the community. We're very excited that we can really expand this partnership to really allow students to have the opportunities to work with these institutions and these K-4 students. So it's just, I love to see students who are passionate, and this is going to be a great partnership for that.
Shakura, what keeps you inspired or anxious to get up in the morning to get started?
I love this question. I started my career in education 15 years ago. I am a native Washingtonian, as you mentioned. I went to school with your son. So giving back to the city is really important to me. But when I think about my entire career and all the things that I've done, I started off as a teacher, was a school leader, got involved in policy and politics in the area. The through line for me is ensuring that every kid in the city has access to all the tools that they need to access all the opportunity that exists, especially young people in Wards 7 and 8. One of the things that haunts me but drives me is a conversation I had with a young person. And he said to me, "Miss A, I can't wait till I grow up because I'm leaving DC. There's nothing here for me." And what that meant to me was that this young person couldn't see himself in the opportunity that exists, because we know thousands of people are moving here every month.
That's
and
right.
So it's been my personal mission to make sure that every child has access to everything that they need to access that opportunity. And literacy is a huge one.
So lastly, two things. One, how can how are you recruiting volunteers? Where can people call to become a volunteer? And two, if there are parents that are out there that really would like to see their children a part of this, what should they do?
Wonderful. First, on the volunteer note, we want to serve 950 to 1,000 kids next year, so we need people. We have a campaign. We want 2,000 volunteers next year. We believe that they exist in the city, and we want them to work with us. The best way to get in contact with us is go to www.readingpartners.org/volunteer and choose Washington, D.C., Reading Partners National. We are in about 13 cities, so we want to make sure we direct you to us. And please sign up. We are excited to partner with about 22 schools next year. And so, and they are all across the city. And so we are probably near you in your neighborhood. So please join us and join our campaign for 2,000. We need 2,000 volunteers.
Okay, can you give us the website again one more time?
Wonderful. Again, that is www.readingpartners.org/volunteer. Choose Washington, D.C. as your location.
And Melissa, have you recruited your students from Howard, or do they volunteer? How does that work?
Yeah, so in the upcoming academic semester, we are going to do a campaign to the students to let them know why they should be a part of Reading Partners. So we will do, we have what we call a placement power hour, where Reading Partners will be able to come in, give the students an overview of their program, and really give them an opportunity to see why should they be a part of Reading Partners. So that is going to kick off in August. I know the students are really excited. They're going to be back on campus. So we're really, really excited to share this new partnership with them to get another experience that they're probably looking for, that we know they're looking for.
Well, I know all of us know that once the school doors open again, we're going to have to march double, triple time to catch up for the
Right.
time that's been lost this year, particularly for those kids that didn't really have the support that they needed
Right.
while they were doing distance learning. So I am proud of you all. If I could, I tried it once before. Quite honestly, I always say full disclosure, it didn't work. Just couldn't make that time commitment, but it would be something I'd love to do. Because, you know, I love to read, would love to share that with other kids. And so I encourage everybody that's out there listening to follow up on the website, volunteer, and let's, you know, celebrate when you get those 2,000 volunteers.
Wonderful. And we will follow up. We can make it easy for you. So I think it would be incredible. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all so much for being with us.
Take care. Thank you.
All right. Good luck to you. And speaking of good luck, wow. How much good luck could our folks here from the business, Everything Legendary. I don't know why I've lost that, but the business Everything Legendary. If you haven't heard about Everything Legendary, don't go away, because Will Ford is going to be right here to talk to Dwayne Cheers about all of the good luck they've had recently. We're going to watch. Welcome, William. Welcome, Dwayne. How are you all?
Doing just fine. How about yourself? Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. Hey, I went to, I think, are you all in Whole Foods?
Not yet. We will be very, very well. Yeah, we're working on that right now. Yeah.
All right. Hey, I can't. Not that you have to be there. You don't. I don't want to. I'm not trying to
Giant,
give anybody
Safeway,
a
Acme
plug.
up north, Target in 13 states, 310 stores, 13 states nationwide. Safeway, Mid Atlantic, Giant, Landover, 167 Giants in the Acme markets up north.
Hey, I see why you won this award. I'm going to toss this to Will, and I'm going to jump out and just listen and enjoy.
Hey, Will, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing, my man? Hey, congratulations.
Thank you so much, sir.
Hey, let some folks know who may have forgotten. When did the company get the Shark Tank investment, and why bring your business to Prince George's County, Maryland?
We got the show aired on February 26, 2021. We're actually from the Prince George's County area. I'm born and raised here. Everything Legendary is a purpose-driven company. I mean, that's where it really comes from. I mean, this is like a real reason, and the reason is this was founded based off of my mom's illness. Unfortunately, my mom was diagnosed with lupus 35 years ago. She has been a strict vegan for over 30 years. So the reason why she was blessed with celebrating her 71st birthday is because of her healthy diet. Yes, she takes medicine, but what you eat is very, very big to her. So my like aha moment for the company was when her and I were in the grocery store one day, and she was talking about like all the products out there, and we had tried so many of them, because that's again, she's been a vegan for 30 years. I've been in the lifestyle for about that long time, and I remember being in like elementary school, like you couldn't trade rice cakes with the good old cheese pizza back in the day. You know what I mean? Like that, vegan wasn't cool. So the whole thing about us is to make this product which is flavorful. It has the right texture. It's healthy. It's the best plant-based burger in the world. We created back in 2019. Myself, Danita Claytor, Jamoke Jackson, Vince Parker, Cynthia Betterson, and DeReese Deal. So that's the team, and we're just blessing. We're just happy to be here. It's the best plant-based burger in the world. Hands down, all 5 sharks said it. It's absolutely amazing. We're in Safeway right now. How we got that contract was that's just my innovation style. I actually like disguised myself as a delivery boy 17 months ago. I had did my research for all the different meat managers. So I disguised myself, put on a hat or whatever, and I walked in there. I was like, "Yo, I have these burgers for everyone," and I gave them to the lady, to the receptionist. She was like, "I'm about to give them a call." I said, "No, don't do that. They in a big meeting right now. If you call them, you're gonna get fired." So that was the funny part. And then I came back 4 days. I came back 2 days later, and she was like, "You're that like delivery guy." And I was like, "Let me reintroduce myself. My name is Dwayne Cheers. I'm the founder CEO of Everything Legendary, and I would love to get a meeting with you." And from there, we got the meeting, and we was all in the process, and the Shark Tank came about, which was a very grueling process. It was very, very difficult, very, very hard. And Mark Cuban believed in us, and life has been amazing ever since. We did $250,000 in the first 24 hours, $1.5 million in 3 months since Shark Tank airing. So it's a blessing.
That is something. You mentioned the phrase when you mentioned back in the day, vegan wasn't cool. Well, it's catching on, bro, because Everything Legendary will be, is it tomorrow starting at 310 Target stores in 13 states?
Actually Sunday, but it actually
Sunday,
leaked
okay.
in. It actually leaked in a couple stores starting today. So in the PG County area, you can go to Bowie, Forestville, Prince George's Plaza, Greenbelt, Silver Spring off of Cherry Hill Road. They have it right now. I actually was in there yesterday, talking to the market managers, talking to the store managers, introducing myself, building a great relationship. Again, this is something that, this is purpose driven. You know what I mean? Like this is created for our like parents. Danita's mother, unfortunately, while we were right before we had really, really started launching this business, her mom passed away to like cancer, stage 4 cancer. So this is something that's very deep in our hearts. Is to get people from all different backgrounds, all different like economic status, like everywhere, to eat healthy, choose this great, like this great alternative. And it's the wagyu of the plant-based meats. This is the caviar. This is the best plant-based burger in the world. It's pre-seasoned. It's flavorful. It has the right texture. It's healthy. And I'm very, very proud to say this is Black owned. This is completely Black owned. Morgan State University graduate. Shout out to Howard University, because Danita would kill me if I didn't shout that out. That and Bowie State University, she would kill me because she has a master's from Howard, and her undergrad is from Bowie. But we're from the Prince George's County area. My mama still live in Lake, in Largo. So we're from the area. We're here.
Now you mentioned about Prince George. Are you still living in the area, man?
Yeah, currently, I am in the area. I'm not here too often because we travel so much. Actually, I'm literally about to get on the plane in the next 2 hours. We're actually headed to LA for our Target launch over there, because we're launching Target in California. We have like 80 stores in California. So we're getting ready for a big party over there. And then from that, I'll be right in New York, then Chicago. And we're literally going around to every single major state that we pretty much are launched in right now. And we're just keeping our foot on the gas pedal.
Hey, man, do you and your colleagues who you mentioned have to sometimes educate people who aren't feeling the vegan season? In other words, are there people who still aren't convinced about vegan and want to eat what they want?
I mean, of course. I mean, like, there's a stigma about vegan not being tasting good. There's a stigma, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to how big it is in our community, which people don't know that, 4% of African Americans right now are vegan. You know what I mean? So it's growing. It's growing at a very, very high high rate. But educating the world is, what I'm saying, that's not a problem. But we stand by it. I'm loud, I'm bold, I'm innovative. It's the best burger in the world, and I stand by that. I mean, if you don't believe, I'll say this: go watch the Shark Tank episode. It was one of the highest rated Shark Tank episodes so far this year. Season 12, episode 15. All 5 sharks said it's the best burger in the world, and I stand by it, and it is. I'm and currently right now, and this is some real information. Currently right now, in the Mid Atlantic, inside of Safeway and Giant, we are ranked 3rd in the plant-based category. 3rd. And we debuted that. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's off the break. And there are 2 people above, but we're not spending close to the amount of money on marketing and placement. You know what I mean? One of them had a placement in coming to, the whole movie. So it's so much stuff going on. Coming to America. That's what I'm trying to say. Come to America.
Oh, all right.
I couldn't figure it out.
That's all right. Hey man, you mentioned about spices, and I'm trying to make sure if I read, is there going to be a cheesy filled patty debuting?
Cheese infused burger is coming out in like the next 3 to 4 weeks, actually.
3 to 4 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, so we're doing something that no one else has done whatsoever. Cheese infused, but yes, our spices it's something that we're big on. Everything Legendary was created inside of a kitchen, not inside of a lab. One thing that we stand by so much is that if you look at our ingredient list, you can pronunciate every single thing on there. You look at our competitors, I guarantee you can't. It just is. I mean, like, we're using natural flavors that are in our burger, and it's pre-seasoned, so you don't have to add any extra flavor to it whatsoever. You don't have to add any salt and pepper. You don't have to do anything. You just cook it from frozen, 3 to 4 minutes each side, and you have the best burger in the world.
Hey man, you mentioned you're loud and proud.
Very much.
Talk a little bit about when you mentioned vegan and some folks, but I have a personal notice, tried myself, and it is very good. How, when you mentioned in terms of spicing it up, can you explain a few of the spices that are added to some of your products?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you some of it. I mean, this is like proprietary, completely. But but it's on the back of the box. So I'm not telling you nothing that's not on the back of the box. I mean, just some of the things like, whether it be basil and mango, oregano, you know what I mean? Like, just those 3 right there. You're not seeing that on the back of the other competitors' boxes right there. They don't even understand flavor. So, I mean, you're not seeing it. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, and we stand on that. And it's how we are still to keep our sodium level in a considerable healthy range. The difference is when and they've said this. I mean, I'm not saying anything, different. Our major competitors have said, we're not even focused on the seasoning of it. We just wanted to, look like it and kind of have the same texture. And then what you're doing from that is that naturally people are doing what? It needs some flavor. So then you're adding a whole bunch of salt and pepper, and now you're skyrocketing your sodium level. So then you're really not eating healthy. We've taken care of all that for you. It's pre-seasoned. We already have the flavor in it, and it's ready to go. And it's the best burger in the world. I'm going to keep saying that. It's the best burger in the world. And you can go to Safeway, you can go to Giant, you can go to Target in 310 states, you can go to Acme, or you can go to GoLegendary.com. Let me say that again for everybody who can hear that. That's GoLegendary.com. Let me say it one more time. That's GoLegendary.com, and it will come right to your doorstep. So again, we're in Safeway, we're in Giant, we're in Acme markets, and we're in Target 310 stores nationwide, and we will be launching inside of Balducci's and the King Market in the next week and a half. So that's right under 1,000 doors.
I'm so hungry right now. I'm going to go out in a little bit and find one of your burgers so I can have something.
And the burger and the ground. We have both inside of Safeway and Target. So fantastic. The ground, you can do amazing things, whether it be Taco Tuesday, whether it be stuffed mushrooms, stuffed green peppers, lasagna, spaghetti, however you want it. We're over here giving it to you, and it's the best burger in the world. We will be number 1. It's absolutely amazing. It's the best burger in the world.
I love it. I love it. I want to thank you because I know you're selling, you're doing it, doing this yourself, and but yet heading all across the country. Nobody can sell it better than you do, and I'm glad to hear that Will is already a believer. So I look forward to joining the train here and being a part of that. I want to thank you so much, both of you all, for joining us, and just keep up the great work.
Well, thank you so much. And again, thank you to my team, all of them. Thank you to Mark Cuban. You changed our absolute life. Again, I mean, this is a dream come true. I'm a real entrepreneur. Went from having a house foreclosed, a car repossessed on the way to going to church before. So I didn't see the darkness of the darkness, but we keep on believing it. And that's a very, very true story. On the way going to church before, my car got repossessed because I was an entrepreneur. Being irresponsible, though, I'm going to be honest and put some of the blame on myself, but that's a part of being in the game. But if you keep on believing, you're going to be told a million and one no's. But one of the wisest things someone once told me before is if you keep walking towards your dreams, one day you will look up and you'll be walking inside of them. The problem is we give up fast and way too quick. There are no elevators to success. You must take every single step. Stop thinking it's going to happen overnight. It will not happen. A couple months of sacrifice for a lifetime of paradise. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot,
Thank you.
Dwayne. Thanks, Will.
All right.
All righty, boy. I mean, that was a sermon right there. And so, a sermon. What follows a good prayer? Some good food, right, Chevry? So we have to go get one of those burgers. I look forward to getting the Everything Legendary Burger. And Dwayne, cheers. I wish you and your team the best of luck. And hopefully people will catch on to this whole concept of just eating right, whether you want to call it vegan or not, just eating right, eating to live. So speaking of that, and speaking of health, boy, what a great segue to bring on Dr. Yolandra Hancock with the American Heart Association. But first, we're going to get a little video of her.
Society, the medical community included, would have us all believe that disease risk, police assault, and early death are all due to individual behaviors, especially within communities of color. If we act right, if we eat right, then we'll be all right. As if the inevitability of diet-related diseases and dying on the streets is simply based on personal choice.
Wow, Dr. Hancock, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to follow that up with someone who's saying, well, you know, you do have a choice. But you're right. I mean, don't blame it on the victim, right? And I think that's the point you're trying to make. So so thank you for being with us today. And I know that I've heard a lot about you and sort of the whole thing about disparities in healthcare and what's happening in our community. But today we're talking about the DC Nutrition Equity Act. And can you please share with our audience what that's all about and why the American Heart Association is involved?
Absolutely. So the Nutrition Equity Amendment Act is an amazing piece of legislation coming out of Council Member Nadeau's office, championed by a diverse array of coalition members. What it does is it allows for critical, necessary, and sustainable funding to provide for healthy foods within communities, particularly communities hardest hit by health disparities like diabetes and obesity. It provides community-wide nutrition education, particularly targeting communities east of the river that have been disproportionately impacted by diseases like diabetes and obesity. And one of the reasons why our coalition has come together with an array of people from national organizations like the American Heart Association and the Center for Science in the Public Interest to food justice leaders in the DC community itself. DC Greens, Spaces in Action, Don't Mute My Health, the George Washington University, myself as one of the professors and a physician, we've all come together to champion nutrition equity because we know, really based on what we've seen with COVID-19, nutrition-related chronic diseases were a leading risk factor for COVID-19 severity and death. So there's no time like the present to have legislation like this passed.
But you talked about one part of the legislation, which I think people would agree with. I mean, we know, particularly in the community where our newspaper is and actually where I live, some still consider it a food desert. We know access to healthcare is still a challenge. We have a hospital that doesn't provide all the services that the community needs, and some have had to travel across town and even outside of the city for healthcare. I think part of it makes a lot of sense. I think the other part that seems to be most controversial is with regards to this additional, I don't know if we call it a tax or a surcharge or something that the amendment asks for to be placed on quote unquote sugary drinks. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. The nutrition equity catalyst tax that's included with this legislation is a 1.5 cents per ounce excise tax that will be applied to the distributor, where they can decide whether or not they then translate that cost over to the consumer. What this does is it replaces the current sales tax that's currently on sugary drinks in the District of Columbia. This funding is going to be committed to improving food in shelter systems, where some of our most vulnerable communities, part of a fresh start is the food that they eat. It provides funding for food literacy programs in elementary schools across the district. It actually invests in Black and brown businesses that speak specifically to addressing food insecurity and nutrition inequities. It also allows for food as medicine programs so that physicians like myself can actually prescribe fruits and vegetables to our communities. I used to see patients east of the river in southeast, as we say. So I understand not only food swamps, but also food deserts. And that's what this catalyst tax helps us to facilitate. And the reason why an excise tax is much better than a sales tax is once you've committed to the purchase of a product, how much it costs at the checkout does not change behavior. We look at cities like Philadelphia, countries like Mexico, states like California who have passed similar excise taxes, and we have seen not only increase in terms of these programs that I just described, but we also see decrease in terms of the consumption of sugary drinks, which is the leading source of added sugar in the American diet. And when we know that we decrease sugary drink consumption and decrease sugar consumption, that decreases the risk of diseases like diabetes, obesity, the things that are killing us the most.
You know, I want to raise a question that one of our viewers, Eric Jessup, just asked, and that is, can we champion nutrition equity without government enforcement? And one of the things that I've observed, particularly in one of our delis, it's a great, we call it deli, MLK Deli in our neighborhood. Just sort of observation. Other than their homemade lemonades and strawberry drinks that they make over there, I think purchased drink is water. And so the sodas don't seem to move that well. And so, you know, I'm wondering, I'm with Eric, does it take government intervention or government enforcement to change habits?
I believe that that's an excellent question in terms of the government's role in facilitating behavior change. You look at seatbelt laws, car seat laws, the tax on tobacco. It wasn't until those government partnerships in terms of a public health policy partnership that we saw behavior change. The reason why there was a decline in smoking wasn't because the Surgeon General put a label on the package. That changed no behavior. But when we started to implement a tax on cigarettes, not only did it across the board decrease cigarette use, but particularly in our adolescent population, right? When we think about seatbelt use, car seat use, it wasn't until you have a ticket assigned to what should be common sense that people do it. And it isn't that this catalyst tax takes away choice. You have a choice. You can either assume to pay the additional 30 cents for this 20-ounce bottle of Coke, or you choose not to, and instead is, to your point, buy water. I remember growing up being a recipient of entitlement programs. We received food stamps when you had to rip them out of a book. We very rarely had soda because my mother had to make specific economic choices about what we could and could not afford. And what this does is it facilitates choice based on the cost right there on the shelf, right? That's what we know changes behavior. Studies have demonstrated that when you change the price on the shelf, that's what reduces sugary drink consumption. Philadelphia is a perfect example. They showed a almost 40% reduction in sugary drink consumption based on the excise tax that was passed back in 2017. That's what we want to do, is to facilitate this choice. When we talk about targeted marketing, soda industry target markets Black and brown communities to make sure that they become intimate with us in terms of our loyalty to product purchase. What this does is it facilitates a healthier choice.
Well, you know, I'm glad that you came on. I think this is, I mean, this battle has been going on for, I don't want to call it battle, but this initiative has been going on for quite some time, and it's worn different hats. And so now it's before the council, and we will probably, you know, have others on who have, you know, maybe differing viewpoints about it, because I think we need to have an informed community that knows what the council will be looking at in the next couple of weeks. So, Dr. Hancock, thank you so very much for joining us and for sharing a perspective that our viewers need to hear. And hopefully we'll have you back sometime to talk about some other issues involving healthcare in our community.
Hopefully so. Thanks for having me.
All righty. All righty. Thanks much. So, yeah, I mean, whether you all know it or not, this is a bill that's before the DC City Council. They may be voting. I'm not sure if it's in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned because if this legislation passes, yeah, that next, as she said, bottle of soda or any drink that has sugar in it may cost you more. And as, who was it? As Jeff Bradshaw said, water's king. Can't disagree with that. Let's welcome Dr. V.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, Dr. V. How are
Good.
you?
Doing very good. Doing very good.
Great, great, great. So yeah, in a few minutes after us, I think we're going to show this little brief interview we had with Dr. Webb from, the White House Task Force on COVID. But I just thought, we've got you.
Yes.
So
yes,
let's talk about the new news now with regards to the fact that these masks. I don't understand it. Explain it to me. We don't have to wear masks. What?
If you're if you're fully vaccinated,
okay,
indoors, which means you are 2 weeks after your last shot. So if you were on a 1-shot protocol or a 2-shot protocol, you were 2 weeks after your last shot. Now, let me just say, that being said, I wouldn't necessarily do something like flying a plane without a mask.
Right.
We're still talking about, environments where you're not with a lot of people, right? So, I wouldn't necessarily go on a plane. I wouldn't necessarily do that at this point. But certainly basic indoor settings with other people that are vaccinated.
Well, how do you know? I mean, let's say if, I walked out of here today and go into Target to buy one of those burgers, or to buy a pack of those burgers. I mean, I don't know who in that store is vaccinated. I mean, the store may tell me I have to wear a mask, but if I, if they don't, I don't know who's around me.
Right. So, I actually, you're more of a danger to them. So, my concern is that people who are not vaccinated are going to say, well, now I don't have to wear a mask because I don't have to tell people that I'm not vaccinated, right? I have my medical privacy rights. And those are the people that are more likely to get sick. And that's what we're seeing coming through the emergency department and in the ICU right now. So what happens is vaccinated people are going to be, more, because the virus is still going around. I just remind people it hasn't gone anywhere, right? What this vaccine has done is made sure that we actually don't get sick as a result of it. So if you look last week, if anybody's sports fans, about 7 Yankee players tested positive, and they were people who had been vaccinated, but they didn't get sick and they kept on playing. So vaccination doesn't necessarily mean you don't get the disease. It just means you're less likely to get sick. Some people might get a cough or a sniffle. I've only seen one person that really got sick, like in the ICU, who was vaccinated, and that was a transplant patient. So if you do have, significant immunosuppression, like someone who's transplanted, then you should absolutely continue wearing a mask.
I'm so glad that you reminded us of that because we think that the vaccine is a cure and it's really not.
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
And then what about children? Because now 12 to 16-year-olds can get the vaccine. We've been out on the street trying to talk to parents. We were really surprised that, even over here in Southeastern Ward 8, where we are, one of the sites where children are getting vaccinated, our parents are not taking their kids to get vaccinated.
Well,
so
yeah.
What do you have to say about, one, the safety of those vaccinations for children 12 to 16, and why should we even be pushing that?
Yeah, so I tell people that it's really, really important to get kids vaccinated. I think this has been a falsehood that children don't get sick with COVID-19. It's actually, children do get sick with COVID-19. One of the largest studies that was done in Europe actually showed that there were children that got sick and died of COVID-19. But it is primarily children that are actually older, in that 12 to 22 range, right? And when we talk about having comorbidities, the most important comorbidity is obesity, is childhood obesity. we have a lot of children in our community that are obese, and obese is considered anything with a BMI over 30. If you look up your child's BMI, there's a lot of parents who are not going to consider their kids to be obese. They're going to consider, well, he's just husky. If you look it up on the actual calculator, a lot of those kids are going to be obese. So that is a risk factor, and that is probably the most significant risk factor that children have, particularly minority children, for COVID-19. So I really urge parents. This has really been this has been, significantly tested. The Pfizer vaccine, which is the one that's been approved for 12 to 16-year-olds, is now going for full authorization in adults. So I believe in the next 2 to 3 weeks, it will no longer be emergency use authorization. It will be full authorization. So I really recommend that children get vaccinated that are 12 to 15.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's good news. Dr. Rhea, is there anything else you need to update us on about COVID that we haven't heard about?
Well, no, I did want to update you about Stroke Awareness Month.
Okay,
and
sure.
we can actually, I can send you over a flyer and we can talk a little bit more about it. But a lot of people remember when our grandparents got a stroke and there was not much that could be done. Maybe they gave them an aspirin and that was it. Everything is different today. Everything is different. So you can get clot busting medications. You can go and get the clot removed. People are regaining function if they come to the emergency department on time. So we have an acronym and it's called Be Fast. B is notice that you have any balance or coordination problems. E is any sudden loss or problems with your eyesight. F is a facial droop. A is arm or leg weakness. S is speech, either problem speaking or problem understanding someone else. And T is time, call 911. So it's Be Fast. I'm going to send you guys the flyer for it so you can actually put it up on your website.
Wonderful. I appreciate that. And we're going to come back and talk about that a little bit more next week.
Sounds good.
Always great to have you, Dr. V. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Have a great weekend.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you. Sherry, do we have time to do the interview with Dr. Webb? Okay. We're going to show the interview we had earlier this week with Dr. Webb with the White House on COVID, White House Task Force. Nice young Black doctor. I mean, we like to have Black folks that are really in the front lines of this. And so we're going to do that. Then we're going to jump to, as I said, Bridge TV with What's Up DC with the Media Prints, and then Sounds of the DMV. This is the last you'll hear from me, this segment. I want you all to have a great weekend. Be safe, and we'll see you next week, same date, same time. Just for our viewers, can you tell me how effective is one vaccine when it's a two? Just for our viewers, can you tell me how effective is one vaccine when it's a two vaccine protocol? What does that do to protect folks against the virus?
To start, the president's intention is for all adults in terms of that goal, that 70%. Even if it's saying have the first dose, the intention is still to complete the series. So it's not just that some people get one shot. At this point, over 92% of Americans are getting both doses. And so that's what we want to see. That's what the science tells us to do. We're always going to follow the science. So the president's not suggesting that people should only get one shot. It's just to say that by July 4th, at least 70% of folks have at least started that process. And even if they have to wait 3 weeks for their next dose of Pfizer or 4 weeks for the next dose of Moderna, they started that process by July 4th. So just wanted to make that clear. But what we do know is that that first dose does have some effect, about 80% effective at preventing severe illness and death from COVID. It doesn't last, that immunity, we don't expect that it lasts as long as it would last with 2 doses. And certainly you don't get the same amount of neutralizing antibodies as you get with 2 doses. So 2 doses is better than 1. And that's what the science tells us. That's what we're following. And so we're encouraging everybody to do the full series.
And it sounds as though if you get that 1 dose, you're more inclined to go ahead and get, the complete and I'd like for you to talk a little bit about, an incentive that the president has announced with the partnership with Uber and Lyft.
Yeah, and this is, less an incentive, more of a way of removing barriers, because I mean, the reality is that for a lot of people, they want to get vaccinated. There are just still some barriers. It may be that they can't get off work. So a couple of weeks ago, the president made it so that for small and medium-sized employers, they're getting paid time off from work to get vaccinated, or to take a day off if they're still feeling some fatigue or having a fever the day after their shot, which is completely normal. And so those are things he's doing to make it easier. And similarly, Uber and Lyft stepped up today. And this is an example of a private company saying, hey, we want to do some more to help folks get to vaccines. So we're going to provide free rides to and from vaccination sites. And that's the kind of thing that we love to see, American companies stepping up to help Americans. And so, that helps a lot. I think across the country, the business community is rallying around this idea that we want to get back to normal. We want to, move this pandemic into our rear view. And so to do so, it's all hands on deck. And I think today was just another example of that.
So in the district, which is where I am, the mayor's announced that on May the 12th, a lot of the restrictions will be lifted. And at the same time, we're looking at the opportunity now for children between the ages of 12 to 16 to also get vaccinated with the same dosage that adults can get. But we're still in a predominantly, at least where our paper is located, is in a predominantly African-American, low-income community. And there's still some concerns about the vaccine. And so for parents who haven't gone down that road, but hope to have their children back in school pretty soon, what can you tell them about, the safety about this vaccine for their children, and why they and their children should go ahead and get it?
Well, I'll start off by saying that, I'm an internal medicine doctor. So, on the weekends, and I'm not working in the White House, I work at the hospital taking care of COVID patients. And that's something I've done since last March, working on this COVID unit. I'm really passionate about people being safe, staying safe, and making it through this pandemic. And when I saw the results, the data behind this Pfizer vaccine, I said, that's a very effective vaccine. The same with Moderna, the same with Johnson & Johnson. When I saw the safety data for those three vaccines, I said, those are very safe vaccines. And that's the reason why, I recommended it to all of my family members. I recommended it to friends in terms of being a way to prevent illness and the worst of what this pandemic has done, what I've seen up close and personal as a practicing doctor. And so, what I would say to those parents and to those children is that we're making our way through this pandemic. At over 150 million Americans have gotten at least one shot. And what that tells you is we've got a lot of data, probably more data than on any vaccine that we typically see. And it's showing us time and time again that these vaccines are safe and that they're effective. They're going to prevent people from getting sick or dying from COVID. And if that's that's a peace of mind that's important to you, then I encourage you, look at the information, good, trusted information, talk to your doctor and see where your decision lies.
I want to thank you so very much for joining us, and hopefully, we'll get you back on again. I want to thank you for your time.
No, my pleasure. We'll definitely have to do this again and get a full 10 minutes in.
Wonderful. I appreciate it.
Right.
Hey DC, are you ready to party? Well, you tune into the right place. Parties are back on. Claire Huxtable is in DC, Fine Arts. And Black Lives Matter Plaza Mural, where is it at? Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for What's Going On DC. First up, starting June 6th, Metro will expand late-night service to 36 of the busiest bus routes in the DMV. So you know what that means. It's Lady Bus time. It's Lady Bus time. Y'all get the joke if you watch the show. Mayor Bowser just lifted capacity restrictions after June 11th. And fresh off that announcement, our good old Rose Bar just announced it's party time, opening June 11th to be exact. Hey, who remembers the DC Sniper? I know I damn sure do. Well, the story of him in his own words are coming to Vice. Boo! Who cares? Why do we keep giving murderers platforms? In sports, Russell Westbrook makes history as officially the NBA's all-time triple-double leader. I'm loving this winning season for the Wizards. Also in sports, the NFL announces giving $2.5 million in grants to two nonprofits, particularly here in DC. a DC-based United Negro College Fund, and the Council on Legal Education Opportunity, Inc. You can read more about that at thewashingtoninformer.com. And we stay in open news. It's official. Crystal Skating Ring, well, Temple Hill Skating Ring, is open for another year. Landlords worked out a new lease, so go ahead and get your skate on, folks. Where is Black Lives Matter mural, you say? Unfortunately, the painting at 1600 Black Lives Matter Plaza is currently gone due to work to be done underground. Let's hope it's coming back, as Mayor Bowser is fighting for the exhibition to be permanent. Hello, MPD. This is not Fast and the Furious. 2 DC officers who were drag racing and crashed are now facing multiple charges, including reckless driving. Ouch. Speaking of MPD, Robert Conti was just confirmed as the new chief of MPD. They are also getting hacked if they don't cough up $4 million. Read this right now. Hey DC, let's welcome back the beautiful Claire Huxtable to DC. That's right. Actress and humanitarian Felicia Rashad is now Howard University's new dean of the College of Fine Arts. And that's what I'm talking about. Can we still re-register for college and not pay no tuition? Because I'd love to be in those classes. Congratulations to DMV's own Project Santana, who was just announced a contestant on The Cosign, a show on the Genius platform. Round of applause for this guy. I told you the DMV music scene is winning. Now, as we leave, I want you to check out the newly remixed Bust It. So, Juki's music, you know, the one who made the Junebug challenge go viral for DC. Well, he's doing the same thing for Bust It, and I want you to check it out. But before then, make sure you're all caught up by heading over to wibridgedc.com and make sure to follow the hashtags WGODC and WIBridgeTMP style for all the looks. I want you to enjoy your weekend. I'm your boy, the Media Prince. Now let's go bust it.
Stuff real. Yeah. Space, JP. Yeah.
Spaceman, it's time for takeoff.
Let go. Right here for me, don't wanna leave. I think I'm dreaming. Yeah. Who you a tease, got what I need. Who got I'm feeding. Lost in your ways, been here for days. Don't think I'm leaving. Yeah. Don't think I'm leaving. Yeah. Girl, I ain't felt this way in a minute. Clearing out all my time when you with me, like having you around. Let me know if you with it, girl. I've been on Mars from the time that we did it. Girl, I ain't felt this way in a minute. Clearing out all my time when you with me, like having you around. Let me know if you with it, girl. I've been on Mars from the time that we did it. Baby, you true, fine and pretty, and just being honest, you've been on my conscience. Yeah. The baddest thing out of the city, 1 in a million, and that's being modest. I'ma get right to it, to run around, baby. We can run to town, we can do damage. Let me paint the scene on the canvas, so that you working with it, got commanders. Yeah, you got my heart for ransom. One on your loving in this song. Yeah. Got this room lit like a candle. Your body is too much to handle. And shorty got her ass like a dancer. And I think I need a private show. Throwing these ones for show. And as they all hit the floor. Why did for me, don't wanna leave. I think I'm dreaming. Yeah. Who you a tease, got what I need. Who girl I'm feeding. Yeah. Lost in your ways, been here for days. Don't think I'm leaving. Don't think I'm leaving, yeah. Girl, I ain't felt this way in a minute. Clearing out all my time when you with me, like having you around. Let me know if you with it, girl. I've been on Mars from the time that we did it. Girl, I ain't felt this way in a minute. Clearing out all my time when you with me, like having you around. Let me know if you with it, girl. I've been on Mars.
Hey, Mr. Diddy and pretty, you know you poppin'. When I pull up, you know just how I'm rockin'. When we started, no telling what time we stoppin'. Baby, we gon' be up to the morning. Like the old nigga, cause that nigga boring. We'll take a trip to a city where we're foreign. I'ma swim in your ocean just like a dolphin. So don't you fall in love, baby, proceed with caution. Lil' mama gon' bust it for a real one. Tryna see if it's real, let me feel some. Normally I'm not the one for emotions, but you got me caught up in the commotion. So let's go, and whatever, baby, it's just show. I just need to lead it rolls. Come on with me.
Why did for me, don't wanna leave. I I think I'm dreaming. Yeah. Who you a tease, got what I need, who got I'm feeling. Lost in your ways, been for days, don't think I'm leaving. Don't think I'm leaving, yeah. Girl, I ain't felt this way in a minute. Carrying out all my time when you with me, like having you around, let me know if you with it. Girl, I've been on Mars from the time that we did it. Girl, I ain't felt this way in a minute. Carrying out all my time when you with me, like having you around, let me know if you with it. Girl, I've been on Mars from the time that we did it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. From the time that we did it. From the time that we did it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Rockstar for real.
Space, JP. Living in the DMV for sure has an influence on me because we got to bounce like nowhere other. So I definitely love to add that bounce to my music.
For me, living in the DMV has just affected my sound from like the live instrumentation, for sure. And then just like being from here, you know, I spent some time in Atlanta, but coming back home, like, and being here, like, I'm connecting with genuine folks and continuing to create back home. So that's been like a big part for me, being back here and creating. Man, so what's crazy is we connected, well, we really connected years ago. You know, we really known each other since we were kids. And, you know, while we were in college, we both found music and started working on music. And while I was in Atlanta, you know, he was here working on things. And then when I came back home, we just linked up instantaneously. We started working on production, songwriting, and different projects and things like that for other people as well. So we've known each other for a while, but it just made the coming together for the music just way more smoother because we already had that chemistry and relationship.
Yeah, look out for this summer.
Yeah, man, we definitely got a lot of stuff on the way. He just dropped a project in January. That Dream in the song that we just performed is actually on. And then we got a couple singles coming out by myself. Then we also are working with the artist in Atlanta called Jasmine Nira. And she's about to drop a 5-song project that me and him did like some of the writing and production on and stuff. So got a lot of different things in the works, just continuing to create, push the envelope, you know what I'm saying?
I'm Spaceman SLE at Spaceman SLE everywhere. Well, I'm just Spaceman.
And you can find all my music and just everything going on with JMB at JMB Music. That's JMB Music, and you can find me there on Apple Music, IG, everything. I got my saxophone covers, my writing, and just different projects I'm working on, all on those platforms. So yeah, much love.
I'm not the one for emotions, but you got me caught up in the